to Good News York Sports, or I should say GNY Sports. I'm your host, Mike Brindisi. This is technically episode 2. GNY Sports, a brand new sports show hosted by me, and side quest, I like to call, of Good News York. So you can get me on all the socials at Mike B TV. And please like and subscribe to Good News York and GNY Sports on all our socials at Good News York and goodnewsyork.com. I wanted to kick things off with some baseball talk. Tonight, I believe it's tonight. I should know this. Tonight, the playoffs kick off, wild card round for the MLB. Had a little bit of a controversial statement last episode where I was talking about cutting games down to kind of help save the sport. You know, people are talking about how baseball is not keeping up with other major sports, specifically football, because of the amount of games. And I had said, I think we should cut 42 games off. And when people were like, why 42? I did a little math, and it ended up where the games, that would mean the season ended around August, mid-August to September. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing again. But what I loved is I got some comments from listeners or viewers. And someone said something that struck a chord with me, which was, yeah, but if you cut off 42 games, there's no way you'll ever see a 50 home run season again. And it hit me. And this is why I love hearing back from all of you. But most of all, this is why I love sports media, because there's always, just when you think you have it figured out. I mean, I had it dialed down to, I was doing math going, oh, yeah, we cut 42 games off. It's good for the fans. It's good for the sport. Less injuries. Someone just throws one comment out there and throws a wrench in the whole thing because, you know, I never thought of that. I mean, it's something that I think we would probably get over at some point. You know, okay, we might not see a 50 home run season again, but at the same time, you know, it's tough because I think baseball, above any other sport, the record books matter so much. Records matter in every sport, but you know, it's America's pastime. You talk to people who love baseball, trivia, things like that. Awards and records really matter. So I don't know how to dance around that, but I'm still sticking firm. I think baseball should cut down on the games, but I definitely want to preserve things like that for the sport. But something really cool happened. So my father-in-law went to the Hall of Fame a couple days ago, and he sent me a picture, I'll show you in a second, of a certain player's spikes. But this isn't just any player. Pretty cool story. So I live in Ithaca. I went to Ithaca College. My brother-in-law is the assistant baseball coach at Ithaca for Ithaca College baseball. He played on the team that went to the World Series. I don't know how long ago it was now. I think less than a decade ago. But he played on that World Series team. He was the catcher. Now he's the one of the coaches. And his roommate, who became one of his best friends and teammate, was Tim Locastro. Some of you might know that name because Tim Locastro ended up getting drafted to, I believe it was the Astros. I know he played for the Diamondbacks for most of his career, and I think he was on the Red Sox and the Yankees for like one cup of coffee. And the Dodgers, he played with Jock Peterson and Kershaw and all those guys. But he was most known for his career in Arizona. And first of all, it's wild to me for two reasons. One, it's every kid's dream that has watched baseball, played baseball, is to go to the majors. To not only go to the majors, but from a D3 school is quite unheard of. But shout out to Ithaca baseball because they are on the map with Major League Baseball, you know, recruits and scouts. But still, to get drafted from a D3 school and then not only get drafted into get the call up to the majors, but actually have a career there. Now look at me, he didn't set the world on fire, but he was one of the fastest players in the sport at the time. And he was known for that and stealing bases, but he also had an incredible record of getting plunked with the baseball, which is wild. Like, I don't know if he set a record, but at the time, that guy got hit by, you want to talk about taking one for the team. He took about 40 for the team. The announcers, I remember watching games where the announcers would joke about how he's the most hit player in baseball. And then he got hit while they were talking about it. So I think it's amazing that just not only is he living every kid's dream and he's, you know, he went to Ithaca College, was my brother-in-law's roommate. And his dad owns like a commercial paving company, paved my driveway. It's just very surreal. But what's really cool is my father-in-law, this is the other part of it that's amazing, is my father-in-law went to the Baseball Hall of Fame. My great producer, Truman, he is going to throw this up there. There's Tim Locastro's spikes, and I can't really read it because I'm old and I can't see, but basically these were the spikes. Most consecutive stolen bases, what was it? 28 most consecutive stolen bases in Major League history? Yeah. So there it is. Thank you, Truman. That's what I was trying to say. Was not only is it amazing that he got drafted from a D3 school and actually made a career out of himself, he's got his spikes in the Hall of Fame, man. It's cool to anybody, but I think it's just like a little bit extra special for me because I had a personal connection with him. And he's just a great guy, by the way. And he's still floating around in the minors. He's not out of baseball. I think he's in his like early 30s, so there's still time. But shout out to Tim Locastro from Auburn, went to Ithaca College, living every kid's dream. Staying on baseball, man, the Yankees. So the Yankees made it. They didn't make it easy, but they went from starting the season looking like they were going to win the division hands down to making it nearly impossible to watch without wanting to pass out. The problem with the Yankees, they're in. They're in the wild card. They start tonight against the Red Sox in the wild card round. They did not win the division. The Toronto Blue Jays did. See, the Yankees can't hang with good teams. They've shown throughout the season that they take care of the teams that they should. The White Sox, the Orioles, teams like that. They plowed through those teams without issue. But when it came time to play teams in the AL East or teams that were above 500 that were really good teams, they just couldn't hang. There was I don't want to say, well, there was a slump, because there's a slump for every team in baseball at some point. But it was really their bullpen that seemed to be quite the issue throughout the season. But they're playing the Red Sox tonight. The Red Sox have had their number all season long. The Yankees are 2-5 against the Red Sox at home. It didn't make sense to me the way that they were slumping as much as they did. Because as I said, look, slumps happen in baseball. But you got to understand, their run differential, the Yankees' run differential next to the Blue Jays, the Yankees were far above them in run differential. But the difference was they blew so many games because of their bullpen and other reasons. They had 2 6-game losing streaks, and they went 27-23 against the AL East. The numbers speak for itself. The bullpen was awful throughout the season, except for like a few weeks ago. 33 losses where they held a lead. 6-8 in extra innings. 23-22 in one-run games. And Devin Williams, who was supposed to be elite, here's a guy that came in with an ERA of 1.83 and a whip of 1.02, comes to New York. He's got a 4.79 ERA and a 1.12 whip. So what sucks is the Yankees finished 94-68, which is a phenomenal record. But guess what? That's the exact same record that the Blue Jays finished with. But now here they are in a wild card against the Red Sox tonight. And given those numbers and given what we just talked about, I'm not so sure how this is going to work for the Yanks. But that's my team. I love them. We'll see what happens. Now, we head over to Queens, the other team in New York, the Mets. What a Metsy collapse that was. The Mets, it came down to this past weekend where the Mets had to win and the Reds had to lose. And what happened? The Mets lost and the Reds won. And there's nothing worse than when you don't control your own destiny. And that's what happened with the Mets. So the Mets had a $340 million payroll, and I say that because I want to brag. For so many years, especially in the 90s, during the Yankees dynasty, I kept hearing, oh, you buy your team, you have the highest payroll, Notice how you don't hear that argument anymore? That's because the Mets had a $340 million payroll. I don't know, the Dodgers have a huge payroll. The Red Sox. Remember the whole thing with the Red Sox? The evil empire, the evil empire. The Yankees, they're the evil empire. They have all this money. And then the Red Sox became what they always hated about the Yankees, and they won multiple World Series because of it. I believe there should be a salary cap in baseball, but that's a different story for a different day. Listen to Soto's numbers, though. If I was to tell you these numbers and then tell you that this team didn't make the playoffs, I think you'd be very surprised. Soto had a 921 OPS, 43 home runs, 38 stolen bases, and 120 runs. Now, in June, the Mets had a ton of injuries in their rotation, and they went through a 2-month slump. I think one of the main things you can point to with the Mets, though, is that their best hitters were also their bad defenders. They didn't have great defense in the field. And you have to remember that Nemo, Alonso, Lindor, these guys they're in their 30s, which is usually when your defensive skills kind of start to slide. So one team in New York who is limping into the playoffs starts tonight against the Red Sox. Go Yankees. And one team's going to be watching from home, and that's the Mets. And it's too bad because I married into a Mets family, and it's a pain in the ass. But at the same time, if my wife's happy, I'm happy. So I cannot believe that they went through that kind of epic collapse. So they get a big... That's for the Mets. This is a segment called Old Man Yells at Cloud. I'm the old man, and I'm going to yell at the cloud. Game times. This is as old man as it gets. I'm getting to an age, man, where I'm tired by 8, 9 o'clock at night. And these are when these games are starting. And I used to make fun of people for saying that, and now I've become what I hate. The easy answer to why the games are so late, we all know, right? We know it's because of money. It's because of prime time. That's when the most butts are going to be in the seats, right? And that's what the advertisers want, and that's how they make their money. But here's the thing. Yes, most of us are all done with work, done with dinner, and we're able to sit and watch. But you're also losing viewers as soon as we doze off on the couch. It leaves you zero room for extra innings, overtimes, and things like that, which happen all the time in games and make games more exciting. But you can guarantee nobody's staying up for that. A couple weeks ago, there was like some sort of storm in the middle of a game they had to stop. I would imagine way more than half of the viewership went down after that delay. This is because the games are starting so late. Why can't we start at 6 or 6:30 like the Super Bowl? I get it, West Coast. Well, you know what, West Coast, you guys are chill. You're like, it's fine. We'll watch it at 3:30. It'll give you a reason to leave work early or start drinking at work early. It's hard to say that this is that these games are on so late because of prime time. Appointment television doesn't really exist anymore, except for sports, right? We're all watching clips. We're watching recorded episodes. We're not really in front of the TV when it happens, except for sports. However, I don't feel like prime time is prime time anymore for the reason I just listed. If the only sport that is bringing people to appointment television at a certain time in a slot, that tells me that the NFL can dictate when prime time is, right? So why not start the games at 6 or 6:30, and that will become prime time because everybody is going to watch those games. The ball is in the NFL's court. They used to have to say, well, we want to put it on at 8 or 9 o'clock at night because that's when everybody's done with dinner. That's when everyone will sit down, everybody will watch, and they'll see the advertisements, just like I said a little while ago. But I truly feel that prime time doesn't exist anymore. We're all sitting down to watch football because sports are the only thing that we sit down at a scheduled time for. So if the NFL was to move the games, I think they would actually move the actual prime time to wherever. If they played a game look at 9 a.m. on Sundays when they're in Dublin, Ireland, or wherever they're playing. People watch. Is that an ideal time for people to watch? Absolutely not. It's a Sunday, but nobody wants to get up at 9 o'clock and watch their team. So I think if you're getting viewers at 9 o'clock on a Sunday, and you certainly can get viewers at 6 o'clock on a Thursday or Sunday night or Monday night. I want to also yell about Blowouts. The Bills played against the Saints this past weekend. Now, all week long, we kept hearing the same thing. Oh, my God, bet the farm on the Bills. They're going to crush the Saints. The Saints, they suck. It's going to be a blowout. Well, it wasn't a blowout. Guys, blowouts should never be expected in the NFL. They're going to happen. But I don't care if you take the absolute worst team in the league against the absolute best team in the league. I don't want to say any given Sunday because it's cliche, but dude, any team can beat any team on any day in the NFL. The athletes are that good. The football is that hard. You ever hear, how many press conferences have you heard where coaches or players are like, it's hard to win in the NFL? Because it is hard to win in the NFL. Just be happy it's not soccer. Nothing against soccer, but how many times have you seen games end in like a 1-0 or a 0-0 tie? Sorry you didn't get your blowout, but deal with it. It's the NFL. It's hard. You know, as they say, the sun shines on a dog's asshole twice a day when the clock is right. Wait, that's not the right thing. Anyway, I also want to complain about ties. I was talking about 0-0 tie in soccer. Oh, my God. What are we doing? It is 2025, and I stayed up till midnight to watch a game, only to see a 40-40 tie. Now, mind you, I think it's the second highest scoring tie in NFL history. In fact, I know it is. I saw that stat flash across the screen the other day. I don't give a shit because that amazing game was completely erased when we were all deflated when the Green Bay Packers kicked a field goal and tied it at the end of overtime. Which that's a whole other argument, which is why the hell is LaFleur playing for the tie? I've had other people go, what are you talking about? It's better than losing. Better than losing? They say it's like kissing your sister. Yeah, it's like kissing your sister. But it's also like when someone's like, I got this great story, and then halfway through they finish and they go, oh, wait, what was I talking about? I mean, it was just a complete letdown. And I don't know what has to happen for the NFL to get rid of ties. I mean, I feel like the only way the NFL listens is if you hit them in the pocket or if there's enough outrage. But it always seems to happen when it's in prime time. Like there were like multiple rule changes that happened in the last few years because, like, for example, that famous AFC Championship game of the Bills against the Chiefs, 5 touchdowns, and then Allen never got the ball back. And it was kind of a wah, wah, or wait. Oh. It was a complete letdown. What'd they do? They changed the overtime rules. I love that the NFL wants to change overtime or wants to make changes to rules, and they're constantly changing and ebbing and flowing. But why does it have to take a primetime game to do it? We need to get rid of ties. Look, here's the deal. I like ties. I like neckties. I like zip ties. I like Ty Pennington from Extreme Makeover Home Edition. Move that bus. Move that bus. I love the show Family Ties. Shout out to Michael J. Fox. Great show. I fucking hate ties in sports, specifically in the NFL, because that little tie is going to screw things up for so many people. Get rid of it. As the great Jeremy White said, a tie is just a big congrats. Not congrats, congrats. Can we get rid of trick play hypocrisy? Now, what am I talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. It's the same thing that happens when your team is going for a 2-point conversion that you didn't expect. And you go, oh, God, why are they going for 2? Why are they going for 2? And then they go for 2 and they make it and you go, oh, that was such a great call by the coach. That was great. Yeah, oh, high five. But if it doesn't work, the coach is an idiot. He should be fired. It's the same thing with trick plays. The other day, it was a 4th and short, and the Bills ran this play, a trick play with Khalil Shakir, and the backup right tackle who was in for Spencer Brown was supposed to be pulled, come across, and block so that the trick play would work, and he stumbled. It was a disaster. It didn't work, and they got the ball got turned over. Because if a play falls apart for the Bills, right, and it's in Shakir's hand or someone else's hand, it falls apart, it falls apart. But when it's in Josh Allen's hands and the play falls apart, the play's never over until the ball hits the ground or the time runs out, because that man can extend plays probably better than anybody in the league ever. It's absolutely incredible. So I get the point of like, so it's 4th and short. Why are you not giving it to Allen? But at the same time, why would we do a trick play there? Why wouldn't you? When are you supposed to do a trick play? The right time to do a trick play is whenever you want to do it. I guess what I'm trying to say is stop saying that trick plays are dumb when they don't work and they're awesome when they do. I get it. I do the same thing. I love gambling when I win money, and when I lose and I'm crying, I shouldn't have done that because I didn't win. It's the same thing. This is a definitely old man yell at cloud moment. The Ryder Cup? Dude, what the fuck? Look, I never thought I'd be here. If you remember years ago, the Waste Management, the Phoenix Open, I think they call it now, or the Waste Management, whatever, in Phoenix, is actually on my bucket list of PGA tournaments to go to. And that is because it is a party. But what I mean by that, it's a controlled party with respect. People drink a lot. They used to do it where the caddies would race on, I think, on the 16th hole. They would race each other, but they stopped that because fans were getting out of line. There's heckling, but it's all done in fun, and it's done with respect. And I was a little mad when they pulled the reins on the caddy races. I was like, man, why are they doing it? Now I get it. This is why we can't have nice things, because of what happened at the Ryder Cup. I'm not just talking about the heckling. Heckling is one thing. They were throwing beer at Rory McIlroy. They're yelling personal insults. They're yelling things at his wife, which that's a huge no-no. You do not mess with anybody's family. They crossed the line. And I'll tell you what, the Ryder Cup itself was awesome. Yeah, it was a little sloppy at times. I mean, the fans were sloppy, but so was the play. But, man, the U.S. was poised for a huge comeback at the end, and it was completely overshadowed by the fucking tomfoolery, the ne'er-do-wells, the idiot drunks that were just out of line, man. And you know what? I hate to say this, but let's say the USA came back, which probably would have been one of the greatest comebacks in sports. It would have been legendary. I don't know if I would have been happy, because what's the Ryder Cup about? It's about celebrating your country and the players that are from your country. And when they win, they represent the country. Well, guess who else represents the country? The people in the crowd yelling slurs. Like that, to me, that doesn't make me proud to be an American. So if we'd won, what would we be celebrating if America won? That we're a bunch of assholes? I don't know, man. I'm disappointed. And here's the other thing. Did you know that the European players at the Ryder Cup don't get paid? They do it for honor to their country. Now, that's not a knock on the U.S. players. The U.S. players get paid. Europe doesn't. That's their own. They all have their own rights to negotiate how that works out. So not only were we crossing the line and, slinging personal insults at Rory and other people and acting like assholes, but it was to a team that was doing it just to represent their country. They're not even getting paid to be there. I want to just do a quick little thing on the Bills. That's my team, and this is GNY Sports, an arm of Good News York, and we talk about New York on that show. Something was amazing to me when I watched the game against the Saints this past week, and that is the amount of carries that James Cook had. Now, I absolutely loved it because he lit it up for over 100 yards. The guy is absolutely amazing. Every time he runs into a wall of fat defensive men, he comes out on the other side. You ever hear the term running with your eyes? James Cook is the prime example of running with your eyes. His vision is insane. Even when there's not a hole, which there usually is because the Bills do have one of the best offensive lines in football, and they do a lot of great zone blocking and things of that nature. But at the same time, there are times when I don't even know if there is a hole, and if there is, it's filled with huge 300-pound men, and somehow he appears on the other side. He's averaging 5.1, maybe even 5.9 yards per carry, which is phenomenal. The problem I have with it is, Jesus Christ, we got to save him for the playoffs. He's not a big guy. He doesn't, knock on wood, he doesn't get hurt. But, that's always a possibility. And the more you run him, the more you have a chance of doing that. Now, The running game is such a huge part of the Bills' offense. In fact, if I didn't realize how important James Cook was to the offense until, I knew it last year and the year before, but this year specifically. And not just because of the amount of carries. Because one thing you know about the Bills' passing game is that they don't have the receivers that are known for separation, other than Shakir. But he's a small slot guy, a yak receiver, yards after the catch. Keon Coleman has become a yards after the catch guy. He's more of a go up and get it, contested ball kind of guy. These are guys that, but they don't have the receivers that are known for getting major separation and downfield. So that's why you haven't seen, Allen really light it up in the long game, the long passing game since Diggs left. So what do you do to counteract that? You have a hell of a run game, because what James Cook is doing is he's giving them second and third and shorts, because he's getting 5-point-something yards per carry. And when you're on second and short, third and short, or in the Bills' case, they go for it a lot, fourth and short, it's a lot easier to manage with the kind of receivers that you have. The type of receivers they have are guys that can play really well in the short to mid game. So you take away Cook, and now you're taking away the explosive short passing game and that middle of the field passing game. What I'm saying is I don't want them to use James Cook less, but I just remember Joe Brady mixing in Ray Davis and Ty Johnson a lot more. And this season, he's not. And I have a hard time believing that James Cook's brand new contract is dictating how many carries he gets, or vice versa. Because, the big argument in the offseason when he was holding in was, well, he's not an every down back. He's not a 3-down back. He's a 3-down back. He's not big enough to block, so they have to take him out and put. Well, now he's pretty much running on every down. And, I don't know if that's good practice well, we paid him $15 million a year, so, we're gonna run him like that. I don't, this is not how you operate. It's what makes sense for the offense and the player. And so, mind you, we're 4 games in, and Joe Brady and the Buffalo Bills as an organization do a great job of featuring players. Like one game, it's the Kincaid game or the Keon Coleman game. They know what they're doing. I'm just saying, for the sake of my sanity, I don't want to lose James Cook, and I just thought there was room to run Ray Davis or Ty Johnson a little bit more. But absolutely love James Cook. Jimbo, you are the man, and just has become a premier back in this league, and I couldn't be happier. He's so fun to watch. Oh, God. Name that segment, Old Man Bends Down and Tries to Reach for Something. And now it's time for good news, bad news. Hey, Bengals fans, here's the good news. You're not mathematically eliminated. You're only 2-2. I know, Joe Burrow's hurt. But listen, you've got 2 of the great receivers in the league in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You've got Chase Brown. He's a hell of a running back. Decent coach. It's anybody's division. It's one of the tougher divisions. But at this rate, especially with the Ravens kind of on the schneid, you guys aren't mathematically eliminated, and that is some good news. But here's the bad news. Joe Burrow could win MVP for not being there. How does an entire team completely implode because the quarterback's not on the field? And Jamar Chase, he's like a Ferrari in the carport of a trailer park. I understand. Injuries happen. Joe Burrow's injured every season. And if he's not injured, they're starting 0-2, 0-3, and they're spending most of the season trying to play catch-up. Bigger problem is when Joe Burrow's not on the field, apparently everything falls apart. Sorry, Giants fans. That's rough. Now your star receiver's out for the year? You're going to have to rely on Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson? But here's the good news. You guys aren't contenders anyway. You should be really excited. Think about it. Jackson Dart comes in, provides the spark that I knew he would provide. He gave people at MetLife Stadium a reason to celebrate, and not just because they won, because they finally see a quarterback on the field who looks like he could be a franchise quarterback. Will he? I don't know. But as I said last episode, I went to the Bills-Giants preseason game a few months ago. Yes, it was a preseason game. But if you watch football and if you know football, you know when you see somebody special. And Jackson Dart is special. Again, will he be a franchise guy? Will he be an all-pro? Will he be a Pro Bowler? I don't know, but he's got the potential to be. You can see it. So Giants fans, as much as it's been a rough couple years, and at MetLife Stadium in particular, the Giants don't win. You got to win at home. You got a first look at your possible franchise quarterback, and it's something to build on for the future. Because let's be honest, did you really think you were going to contend this season? But it's more about building for the future and taking those next steps to becoming a championship caliber team. Hey, here's some good news. The Chiefs, they're good again. Here's the bad news. The Chiefs are good again. Listen, just when we're about to write them off, what did we do? What are we doing, folks? Oh, look at them. They're 0-2. The Chiefs dynasty's over. Ha, 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 ha. Mahomes looks pedestrian. I said those words. I wasn't wrong. The Chiefs looked pedestrian last year, and they skated through 7 and 8 games by winning in the last second on a no call or a penalty or a blocked field goal, but a win's a win, and they did it, and they went to the damn Super Bowl. What happens this season? It's time for Jim Harbaugh, and it's time for the Chargers. They're going to take it. They're going to win it all. You know what? The Chargers might take that division, and the Chargers might win it all. But to think that because of 2 or 3 games didn't go the way that the Chiefs, or they haven't looked the way that they normally look, for us to just write them off after 3 weeks is ridiculous. Who came back? Hollywood Brown. You've got Xavier Worthy came back. And by the way, Rashid Rice is waiting in the wings, and he'll be back soon too. Kansas City Chiefs have gotten by on a phenomenal defense, phenomenal coaching, and on the clutch play of Patrick Mahomes, because there is no better clutch player in the NFL right now than Patrick Mahomes. But for a long time, I've been saying this season, and by a long time I mean 3 weeks, I've been saying they just don't look as strong as they normally are. And by that, I mean last year as well. That downfield passing game, it's awful. How many overthrows has Mahomes had? But you have to take into consideration the injuries. You have to take into consideration that they're just going to figure shit out because they're the Chiefs. They're coached well. And they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league and one of the great quarterbacks of all time at this point. So the good news, the Chiefs are good, and the bad news, the Chiefs are good. GNY Sports episode 2. Mike Brindisi, you can follow me on all socials at MikeBTV. Like and subscribe to Good News York and GNY Sports on all socials at Good News York or goodnewsyork.com. And we will see you next week on GNY Sports.